including the United States Supreme Court. It's my pleasure to welcome Martin
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, my presentation normally is directed towards manufacturers, so none of which are you. You are none of those things, all right? So what we have been talking about, the general tenor of this, if you wanted to do it again, if you had manufacturers, is that the Immigration and Customs Enforcement has been stepping up enforcement for people who are employing illegal aliens. This law has been around since the original Amnesty Act back in '86. Part of what they did in '86, for background for you, so I'll give you a little primer on immigration because the rest of it is just for your own edification. That act under Reagan, President Reagan, was to eliminate once and for all illegal immigration in the United States. So that was 25 years ago.
It didn't work.
It didn't work. And it didn't work primarily because the yin and the yang of it was, come on in, sit down.
Please, come on in. We just started.
We just started. That commensurate with this policy of amnesty, there would be a stricter enforcement among employers, and called employer sanctions, for employing illegal aliens, so that we could eliminate the problem. What didn't happen is border enforcement didn't happen, and so nothing really stopped. And plus, we had in the late '80s and '90s the greatest boom we had in our economy in a long time, so everybody wanted to come here. Everybody from all walks of life. So in my 40 years, I have spent the last 30 in immigration and labor-related areas. I represent primarily small businesses, a lot of foreign companies, and with employees. And we also did on the other half of my firm, the Frank Greenberg people, they did immigration almost exclusively. So my background was labor. First I was a labor lawyer representing labor unions, including the steel workers, the iron workers, people like that, including Directors Guild, the IATSE, CTA.
Wow.
So I have a background, my first 7 or 8 years of experience, and I was a partner in a labor firm. So when I moved over to immigration, it was because I had started to get a following in small business. And I think I needed to help small business, and this is what chambers are kind of about, small business. And ever since that time, that's what I've been doing. So in the recent years, there has been this push over the last few years to build a wall to keep immigrants out. At the same time, in Congress, we have both sides of the coin. So they say, wait a minute, you've got to go back and enforce things against employers. So people, anybody with one employee or more, you're subject to I-9 compliance in this law. So way back in 1986, they formulated what they call the I-9 form, and it's right here. And everybody who signs up for your business has to fill one out. And they have to prove to you that they are a legal resident or someone who's legally entitled to work, which can happen in a number of ways. They can have a non-immigrant visa, an H, an L, an H primarily, or a J, and they can work for you. Or they can have a green card, or they can have a work authorization called an EAD. And EADs are given sometimes to refugees, people from countries that have had problems that have got here. El Salvador is a very, you can find many people who are not yet green card holders who are in temporary protected status, TPSs. And those TPSs have work authorizations. And now most recently Syria, just last week, was added to the TPS category. So if you're a Syrian, they can, under certain circumstances, qualify for a TPS, temporary protective status. Guatemala's been there in the past, a number of countries. And you have to, but as an employer, what you're concerned about is how do I do here, and how do I avoid a problem? Because most recently, ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, with their very cool name of ICE, has stepped up enforcement. It's only been the last few years. And because you get to know your employees,
Yeah.
and you get to wanna have them. And if you find out all of a sudden after 20 years, Joe Smith, which is entirely possible, is not legal. He came here from Denmark when he was a kid.
And he's been
hanging
using his
around.
brother's-
He's
been using his brother's social.
It doesn't matter, you
Yeah,
know,
just
they
saying.
come from all over and it happens that way. Just Joe Smith from Denmark, he's not gonna get stopped, he's not gonna get bothered. So, but we can check him out. We can probably look for eligibility for him and separately for him and help him go. Because with this waiver, this ability to apply for a waiver while you're still here during this year, it's a good business, it's a good opportunity for people who may have eligibility. Alright. And so that's the most important thing. Build yourself a wall, get some advice, audit your clients. We'll give you a sheet. The report of the audit will tell you what to do, and we'll also interview your clients for nothing. I mean your employees for nothing. We'll see if we can. All right, and that gives you best of both worlds. You're helping people, and you're also helping yourself.
Well, don't you think a lot of employers are scared of you? I mean, for instance, you're offering what you're offering to me, and I'm an employer. Don't you think I'd be a little nervous knowing that I have caught some people that are illegal working for me and of course laid them off? But my point is don't you think employers are afraid to have a courtesy audit, knowing that they could be in jail next week? I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh, no, I'm their attorney.
He's
Okay.
there
working
to
for the
keep him
employer,
out of
not
jail.
against
I'm working for you.
I know, but.
No, I'm
He's
not-
there to help you figure out how to get out of
This
it.
information is not shared with anyone else,
Okay.
okay?
Well, that's what I was
It's
asking.
only for the employer, and then the employer knows what they're up against. The employer has this decision to make every day.
Mhm.
Do I keep these 10 illegals on because I have to run my business and nobody else wants that? Like, I'm talking about a recycler. How many people want to be in a recycler? Not a great, clean job, okay? You're moving around a lot of junk all day long. And what do I do? What do I do? So when we talk with people, and of his people in that case, we were able to help 17 of them. So almost half.
Wow.
We were able to do something for because they didn't know what they were doing. Okay, and it's a different world for a lot of people when you're not exposed to it for the most part. But it's tough. It's a tough world everywhere around at this point in time. So jobs aren't there, things aren't there. But we can help the employer keep the good employees, expose anything that he may be aware of. And what happens is it's better that we do it, come in and tell you what's going on before ICE comes in.
Right.
If ICE comes in and you've got all these problems, then you have a problem. And you have a problem that costs you thousands and thousands of dollars because next you have ICE and then you have their legal teams and you have enforcement and you're going to court and the U.S. attorney is on you, and you really don't want that. And it's a really minimal amount of prophylactic, work to take care of it, and very inexpensive.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have
You're
physical
welcome.
therapy in the valley, so I still have a long
Thank you
drive.
for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, well,
All
we
right.
wanna thank you for coming, and, if, Liz, if you wanna take one of his brochures, give
I
to.
do.
Brochure?
Yeah, give it to Jay, I do, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
take
you.
that, anybody else, and.
Well, I know that people
Small.
have been buying social security numbers and, all kinds of cards down on Alvarado Street. I mean, we've known that for years. And, I mean, now you say on every corner, but I know it's Alvarado
Yeah,
Street,
around
it's a
the
big one.
park
And that's
right
why the identity theft is so crazy. But this is really good information for employers that, well, how about all these people that pick the strawberries? And I'm not being negative, I'm just making a point. I don't believe all of those are legal people out there in the field. Because the thing is this is really good information. How could I, as an identity theft expert, get to some of those folks and to help them? That's my deal here, is helping people. What do you
Interesting
recommend?
thought. How can you get to
The guy that's having the illegals pick his strawberries, cause you know what's happening.
Cause he wants to.
Does he want to?
And they're letting them do it because
It's cheaper.
It's cheaper and that's what he wants to do.
contributing. I mean, if the government's gonna make money off of it, then they turn the other cheek. If they don't,
But they don't all
say.
file taxes, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they just
Because they're
don't.
paying them paying them cash under the
A lot
table.
of a lot of the farm workers are now supplied by regional centers and stuff. Right. So they are legal. So you may not be true what you're saying, but they are temporary workers under temporary status.
Right, right.
Could be
And they
that
do
too.
have a lot of that. So, but a lot are illegal. But who else? That's the point. If The problem with the employers are if they get tied up with identity theft and the police come in and they wanna know about this person, sometimes it reflects, it will reflect very badly on the employer.
Right.
In these situations. So your services to them about what can happen is something you can market to employers. So the same as we might.
Right,
to
okay.
employers.
Thank you.
If you have some things and stuff, I'll be speaking again Friday in North Hills to manufacturers. If you have some cards and stuff and
Yeah.
want to do that, then give them to me. I'll bring
Okay,
them along.
thank you.
Okay.
Because that's the whole.
This was informative, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you